All right, today we're diving into what might be one of the craziest, boldest corporate strategies I've ever seen in the entire crypto space. We're talking about a company that's making a massive, all-in bet on the future of Ethereum. So let's get right into it.
I mean, just think about that question for a second. How do you go about buying 5% of all the Ethereum in existence? It sounds kind of insane, right? We're not talking about buying a few coins here. We're talking about a company whose entire goal is to own a huge slice of one of the most important digital assets on the planet.
And get this isn't some pie-in-the-sky fantasy. A company called BitMine Immersion Technologies, ticker BMNR, has already piled up a staggering 4.17 million Ether. At today's prices, that's a treasure chest worth over $14 billion. So the real questions are, how on earth are they doing this, and what is the endgame here?
So it all comes down to this big idea they call the Alchemy of 5% strategy. It's pretty straightforward, really. Their mission is to just aggressively buy and hold Ethereum until they own 5% of the total supply. It's this epic, almost mythical quest to become a core, foundational part of the Ethereum network itself.
And what's wild is they're actually getting pretty close. Right now, BMNR holds about 3.45% of all ETH. That means they're already more than 2/3 of the way to their goal. So this isn't some distant dream. It's something they could actually pull off. Which, of course, brings up the billion-dollar question, where are they getting the money to buy the rest?
Well, the answer is kind of brilliant and, well, a little bit terrifying. It's not about just saving up cash. BNR has designed what they believe is a kind of perpetual motion machine for growth. And the whole thing spins around one key financial metric.
And that metric is called mNAV, or market net asset value. Let's break it down. Think of it like this. It's just the company's stock price compared to the actual value of the crypto it's sitting on. If the mNAV is over 1, the stock is trading at a premium. And that premium, well, that's where the magic happens.
Okay, so here's the game plan. They call it the accretive flywheel. Stick with me here. Step 1, their stock has to be trading at that premium we just talked about. Step 2, they sell new shares of their stock at that higher price. Step 3, they take all that new cash and immediately buy more Ethereum. Now, here's the really clever bit. Because they sold their stock for more than their ETH was worth, this whole cycle actually increases the amount of ETH backing every single share. So in theory, everybody who already owns a share actually ends up with more ETH backing their piece of the pie. No dilution, just more value.
But wait, there's more. Accumulating all that ETH is just part 1. Part 2 is putting it to work. BMNR is planning to launch its MAVAN staking network, and the projections are just nuts. They think it's going to rake in over $1 million every single day. This would completely change the company from just a crypto piggy bank into a real cash-generating business.
And you know who's paying attention? Wall Street. Analysts covering the stock have price targets that go from around $39 all the way up to $60. They see the massive potential here if, and it's a big if, BMNR can actually pull this whole thing off. But there's always a but, isn't there?
Okay, so that's the bull case, and it sounds amazing, right? But for every grand vision like this, there are always huge risks. And BMNR's path, man, it is an absolute minefield. One wrong step, and the whole thing could go boom.
I mean, just look at these numbers. It's almost hard to believe. In one quarter, BMNR brought in just $2.3 million in revenue. But in that same quarter, they posted a net loss of $5.2 billion. Why? Almost all of that was because the price of their crypto holdings went down. It just shows you how violently their fate is tied to the price of ETH.
And remember that flywheel we talked about? Well, it has a dark side, and its name is dilution. To keep this engine running, they have to keep issuing more stock. A lot more. They're trying to get permission to increase the number of shares they can issue from 500 million to 50 billion. That's not a typo, 100 times increase. If their stock ever starts trading at a discount instead of a premium, that flywheel goes into reverse, and it could be absolutely catastrophic for shareholders.
And if you're still not convinced this is a roller coaster, just look at the stock price itself. In just 1 year, it traded as high as $161 and as low as just 22 cents. That's not just volatility. That is pure chaos.
And oh, the fun doesn't stop there. Their entire business model lives and dies with the price of ETH. Launching that MAVN staking network is a massive technical hurdle. Right now, over half their revenue comes from a single customer. That's never good. The stock has crashed by over 80% before. And on top of all that, you've got the constant threat of governments changing the rules on crypto. it's a long list of worries.
So, with all this drama, you have to ask yourself, are there maybe saner ways to get into crypto? Because this all-or-nothing, high-wire act that BMNR is doing is definitely not the only option out there.
I mean, you could just buy an Ethereum ETF, right? You get the direct price exposure without all this company-specific drama. Or you could look at a more diversified company like Galaxy Digital, which has other, more stable businesses. And if you like this idea of a company holding crypto, there's always the original gangster, MicroStrategy, for Bitcoin, or a company like Hive Digital, which mixes in a green energy angle.
So, after all that, where do we land on BitMine? On one hand, you have this incredible, almost magical plan for growth. And on the other, you have these just staggering, potentially company-ending risks. It's really a story of absolute conviction pushed to the absolute limit.
I think this quote really nails it. You have to understand, BMNR isn't trying to be some boring fund that just happens to own crypto. No, their vision is to become a fundamental, essential piece of the Ethereum network's infrastructure. They are betting the entire farm on that vision. Which brings us to the one question that really matters here. Is this a genius, visionary move to build a core part of the future of finance? Or is this a spectacular gamble that's just destined to crash and burn, taking billions of dollars with it? Honestly, only time will tell.